All right, it is 1 o'clock Central, so we will go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to today's webinar, Implementing New Welding Products. My name is Emily, and I will be your moderator for today's presentation. Presenting today, we have Jamey McIntosh. He is the Education Programs Manager here at Realityworks. Jamey has been with the company for over 10 years and came to us with an extensive education background as a former educator teaching in Wisconsin and in Colorado. His topics cover student engagement, technology in the classroom, filling the skills gap, gaming, business education, and various agriculture and welding topics. He is a great resource for today's webinar. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pass things over to Jamey to get us going.
All right, thank you very much, Emily. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for taking the time. Again, like what was said, we are going to be talking about how we can implement new welding products to really create your best learning environment in your classroom. So to get started, what does a 21st century welding program look like? What is it something that you may want it to look like in the future? And so what we have here is we've created kind of a visual for you of how you might want to implement into your world. So we have an implementation guide that helps you kind of understand not only our products, but also as you start to think about as you look to the future, look to new school years, new semesters, new opportunities to help your students learn in a welding classroom. Most of the time, there's always that in-class activities, and then you have that shop experience as well. And so in that world, we really feel like one of the best things that can help is getting those students to understand welding, and in our world, in a virtual world, allowing students to get that simulation technology into their hands, being able to make sure that they do proper welds before they go and do the real thing. One of the things that research has shown is that by doing simulation, it allows students to gain confidence, to gain understanding, and to be able to master the skills quicker because of that upfront training and that learning opportunity before they go and do the real thing. At the same time, we're going to talk about some of the different products we have, but we really want to give you some kind of tips and tools to help you bring about some of the best learning in your classroom in the world of welding. So some tips for you to enhance your program as we go through here. One of the things that we would always say is focus on what you can control. And sometimes that may feel like not a lot. At others, you may really feel like, yeah, you really have this down and there are things that you can control. So one of the things that we would always say is, how do we help students have a positive attitude, a positive experience, and ultimately positive relationships in your classroom? By keeping them engaged, keeping them to understand what they're supposed to be doing, and then being successful at it is one of the best ways to make sure that you are creating those positive relationships with students. Not only to you, the teacher, but also the skill development and ultimately the career goals that they may be able to achieve from having that welding understanding. Other ways that we can look at this is to increase the ability to understand the ability for students to get the amount of time that they need to get to the training that they have. What do I mean by that? Well, we call it increasing arc time and increasing experience time in the welding booth. Now, depending on your shop and what you have available to you, that may not be that much time in some cases. So we would look at how do you increase that arc time? And maybe it's simulated arc time. Maybe it is moving your students in different patterns or in different modules. And so we're going to talk about some of that and how we can help to increase that arc time and experience in welding. Also increase the ability to understand welding knowledge. Do they understand the kind of the nuts and bolts, the parts and pieces of that? And then finally, help your students find tools that are engaging to them. Technology, different things that are interesting, that help them interact with their learning. Again, As we look into this, we're really focusing on when you're in the classroom, what are you using and how are you using it to the best ability that you can for your students. So what are some of those ways you can implement and enhance your program? Well, we know by the year 2025, so not too long from here, within the next 3 years, there's going to be a need for about 400,000 replacement and new welding professionals. There is a big marketplace for careers for your students. We know that there are more and more welding professionals who are retiring, and that there's going to be a need to replace those people. And with our job market of today, not only are they going to be able to take those positions, but those wages for those positions are going to continue to increase. So the outlook for welding careers is very positive. And how do we help them to not only see that opportunity for them in the future, but how do we increase their interest and then also their collective skill development to be able to replace some of those welders? Now, today's high school welding kind of experience or landscape is usually there's about 8 welding booths on average per high school. Now, I've been in many different places that have 20, 24 welding booths. I've been in some that have 1 or 2. So it varies by school, but on average, you're about 8 per school. At the same time, you have about 22 to 24 students in those welding classes. So as you can already see, the number of students to the number of welding booths don't really line up. And it's one of those things that with that ability there, you're able to understand and visually understand and have your students see the ability to get the hands-on learning, but also not only get the hands-on learning, also be able to trial and error on their own, be able to understand and go forward with that. So there is always looking at the number of welding booths compared to how many students, how much time are they going to get in that arc time? We look at it and say, are there other ways to get them arc time in that world? At the same time, there's about 33% of students have some sort of cognitive disability, some sort of ability that they need either extra help or a different way of learning. A lot of times, the best way to get and help those students is through hands-on learning. So how do we do that? We do things like engaging students, find what attracts the students. Sometimes it's talking to them about, playing with fire, melting things, or creating projects. Those things can sometimes be the catchphrases that engage your students and get them to start looking at welding in a different light. All of a sudden saying, oh, okay, this is kind of interesting. This is different. Engaging students in today's generation by bringing in things like technology, games, competition, having different types of welding competitions or welding weld-offs or projects that they can then show off or be put in places or used in the community, so they have that ability of ownership and pride of, yep, we helped make that, we helped to create that project. Those types of things can engage students in today's day and age. And again, it's all about bringing in students' interest. What are they interested in? If it's them being able to make a bench that they can then give as a present to grandma and grandpa, or if it is a welding a fire pit so that they can use it during the summer, or if it is showing off their skills to their parents or to their friends through competitions that they go to. What is it that is interesting to students, and go towards those directions? Help them to kind of engage themselves in their learning. So let's define some different ways that you could bring competition in the classroom. These are just some examples for you of how you could define competition and bring it in into the classroom. Again, most all of this is very friendly. It is very, competitive at times, but it is not something that is to be used to take away from the learning process. It's all supposed to enhance the learning process. So in this case, at some schools, we'll have Friday weld-offs, where you will have a project or a certain weld that you must do, and you are looking for who can do the best weld. So every Friday they know what they're learning Monday through Thursday is going to be shown in a Friday weld-off. That can lead to things like a weekly trophy holder, where you actually have somebody get the trophy for the week or for the month or for the semester, based on their ability, allowing students to kind of, knock somebody off the podium by having a better weld brings about competition, but it also brings about skill development. A lot of times there are different projects. Instructables is a great place to go look for welding projects. So, do a welder project where they have to create something and then either sell it or give it away. So what they are doing is seen by the community, is seen by other people. Sellable projects is also something where that can be a part of it, where then they start to bring in that competition, and also they start to see that compensation. Oh, I'm building this, I am using my skills, and there is some sort of return on that investment of that learning through sellable projects. And then there's also weekly percentage competition. So have them do multiple welds, have them do a weld off, have them do welds throughout the week and grade each one of them. And then see with a percentage of 4 welds or 3 welds throughout the week, who is at the top, who is the top percentage getter for that week. All these can be used in your classroom, and it really brings about competition. Well, what does that do? It can help create confidence. It can help students to understand what they're doing right and wrong. Again, one of the things that can come out of this sometimes is failure as well. So we are very aware that it can also be where people see, hey, I'm not doing good as the other. That's always a place where it could go both ways, but we always would push it towards, hey, using that as a catalyst to get better. What we hope would happen then is that it would help create confidence, creating a foundation for all student learning, allowing them to be able to get to this point where, hey, we all have the same base knowledge. One of the places that you can do that with is within using our guideWELD virtual reality welding simulator. With the guideWELD virtual reality welding simulator, it actually grades every single weld that you do in the virtual world. You can then make sure that all your students have a foundation before they go and do any of live welding. What this helps with is it can help reduce danger, it can reduce intimidation, and also lack of confidence, because they've gained confidence in their skill development. Therefore, when it's time to do the real thing, they're ready to go. And then engage students in areas that they're interested in as well, allowing them to learn the fundamental techniques, learn the correct way to weld, and then open it up and let them choose where their learning will go from there. So other options and helpful pieces within the classroom here are things like contacting speakers that could come into the classroom, creating a career tree for students, talking to them and letting them research or look at things like, where could their career go? Looking at different options throughout their ability to, over the next 20, 30, 40 years, what could their career end up be in the welding world? Where do they need to start? What kind of classes they need to take? Where does that lead? What is the, climbing up the corporate ladder, or the welding ladder in this case? What is it that you would hope to achieve and be in the next 10 years? Letting them to see that vision and that goal setting. Look at career exploration. We're going to talk about that in a second with career exploration, as we have some free resources that will help you to get them to understand what are the careers within welding, manufacturing, trades, so on and so forth. And then create a plan for student success. If they can do well in this class, what does that mean? What opportunities are there? In the summer, what kind of jobs could they get having some of these skills? As they leave high school, is it better for them to go to a tech college and continue to learn this? Is it better for them to go right out into the workforce? Where should they kind of make their next steps, and allowing students to be able to get there? So one of the things that we have are some free lessons. In this case here, one of the things that we can do is here at Realityworks is we try to give some of that back to you, the teacher. So we have some free career exploration lessons, lesson plans. When I click on the career exploration link here, it brings us into our career exploration implementation free lesson plans. When I click on that, what it's going to do, it's going to take you into our different explorations that we have. Now, in this case here, as I scroll around and I look around, we have agriculture, career explorations, and then we have trade skills and welding skills. So when I click on the trade skills one of the things you can see is that it comes up and it has the lessons here for you. It walks through a introduction, it walks through a focus, a learning section, and a review. This is a printable piece for you. It is free. It gives you all the information of that you need. It talks through, now this is a little bit of a overview in all of trades. So it goes through building trades. The first career they talk about is carpentry, then electrician, automobile mechanic, HVAC, iron worker, and then metal fabrication. And so it gives not only just one focus here, but it gives multiple focuses in the world of trades. Now, if you want to be a little bit more specific, we have a welding career exploration here for you as well. In this case here, as you scroll down, you'll see the table of contents. In this case here, we have careers in manufacturing and production welding. We have, we have welding fabrication. We have welding engineer. We have welding quality assistants, pipe welders, and then exploration of other welding related careers that are not included in this this list. But what it is 6 lessons here that walk you through career exploration on these different types of career topics. And so it allows students to be able to learn what is out there, what is available for them in this world. So with those different free lessons that we have, it allows you to go right out there and be able to find those lessons and bring that right into your classroom. And really, again, about 6 lessons. So that's at least for most educational classrooms, a week's worth of training for your students to be able to really dig into what opportunities do they have out there. Now, we're going to talk through and we're going to go through the virtual welding simulation that can help students. So again, as we think about what your classroom could be in the future, all right, we want to talk about a few of our products that we have. guideWELD VR. guideWELD VR is a simulation that allows you to virtually be able to do welding technique. Inside of the virtual world, as you do it in the physical world, it is going to let you do welds, and it is going to track your speed, travel angle, work angle, nozzle to plate distance, and your straightness. You can do it in push-pull method. And one of the great features here is that there are guides telling you if you're going too fast or too slow, how to go in the right angles and the right speeds. If you do this correctly, your assessment then comes out and it will score you on all of your different technique parts and pieces. When it scores you on the technique here, it then will show you what you're doing well, what areas you need improvement on. It allows you to see, because it tracks every movement that you had in the virtual world without using any metal or any type of electrodes or any type of materials, consumables. It allows you to see, am I doing well or if I'm not doing well? It also has different difficulty levels. So as you get good at a novice level, you can then go to intermediate level or advanced level, and it changes that for you based on your ability. We also have guideWELD Live. This is a live welding helmet, a real welding helmet with auto darkening, and it actually has the guides that you would use in guideWELD VR inside of the helmet as well. As you can see here, as you were doing the weld inside of the helmet, you actually see the guides that are tracking your weld, making sure that you're doing the weld with the right work angle, travel angle, and also speed. If you get out of position, or if you're going too fast, it will tell you to slow down. It'll tell you to speed up. It'll tell you to change your angle based on if you're doing everything correct or incorrectly. Now, with all of this, what we have found is that through studies that virtual welding can increase the learning of welding techniques, increase the ability of students to create quality welds, and reduce the amount of time and cost of material to be able to do those welds. By adding virtual reality, it has increased the amount of participants who were able to become qualified welders, and they're able to do it in less time. This allows you to have more time to be more creative with your students, engage them in new type of welding, and also helps them to be able to go out and do more welding and be more active in the welding world. It also helps with the cost that welding can and consumables can incur by having that virtual world reduce the ability to make all those costly mistakes in the real world. So it has the help of ease of use, increased arc time, and it's also cost effective. Now, one of the places that this works really well and has worked well is Marana High School in Arizona. We have a short video for you to watch of how they are using it in the classroom.
guideWELD VR has really helped me, especially just learn the muscle memory.
Something I like about guideWELD VR is like the golden gun. It shows you the appropriate speed and height and the angle that you use.
The guides help me maintain a steady speed. They help me understand where to place my hands so that way I can turn it a certain way so that way I can get into the groove or joint that I'm working with.
Seeing 100% was definitely a confidence booster. I did better than everyone. It was cool. High confidence booster. Feel proud of yourself.
When I've used the guideWELD system, it's really helped me with my travel angle and my speed.
Having them with that extra guide and assistance inside the hood as they're physically welding is always a win-win.
Which is why I like this more, because it's real. You get adjusted to actually what's going on with the sparks.
Learning how a WPS works. Purpose of a WPS is having another tool that they can use to get that same information is, you know, definitely a win.
The helmets would help by just having the angles correct, the speed correct.
The machine really helped me pick up my own travel angle, for the travel speed, anything that really technical that you really need to be hitting for a good weld. You could be slightly varianced, and this machine really helps you pick up on that and fine-tune your welding experience.
Definitely, I'd had really good feedback from kids about saying, hey, that really helped me out. Having that self-assessment tool is always good. You know, having them a tool that they can assess themselves or even assess each other as peers, you know, and almost make it a competition in a way, or just being helpful to each other and all of that. You know, my ultimate goal is to, you know, get those kids a successful career, and they're not just walking away with just a diploma, they're also leaving with a skill that they can use.
So there is kind of an overview of one school that has taken this into and really changed how they look in the welding world. They've been able to add these products and add that training into their world. So other tools that were talked about there that can help is the Common Welding Joint Kit. This is 10 common welds showing both SMAW and GMAW weldments, allowing you to be able to see what a quality weld would look like, allowing students to visually see how they're supposed to do both SMAW and GMAW welds. It was created by a AWS certified welding educator, and we took and did exact replicas showing great detail of those welds and what would be considered a passable or a qualified weld in that world. We also have flashcards that come with this product, allowing you to really hone in on the helpful hints and the correct way to do welds on these common joints. We also have our weld defects kit. This is a little bit different than the common joint kit. These are all actual welds that are defects. So anything from your undercut to your overlap to spatter to your inconsistencies to arc strike, all of these are welds that were deemed defective by, again, a AWS certified welding inspector. And then we molded these so then students could see what they look like. So when they have those same type of defects, they can visually inspect and see what they did wrong. And then we include, again, the ability for students to learn from that through flashcards, through different curriculum. So then they can say, that's my problem. Lack of fusion, what do I need to change on it? Is it my machine? Is it my technique? What are some things that I can do to try to change that for a better weld? Then we also have our RealCareer bend tester. In this case, it is a bend tester that can do 3 different inch of bends for 1/2 inch, 1 inch, and 1.5 inch roller settings, and they can do different bends for you, as well as the curriculum teaches how to do a bend test qualification test, allowing you to be able to not only do the bends, but also then to qualify it of would it pass inspection, would it not pass inspection. It comes with curriculum as well, allowing for students to be able to understand, okay, here are the different things that are acceptable or aren't acceptable, how to actually do the test itself and prepare for that test. The curriculum walks through all the different parts and pieces, allowing you, even if you as an instructor are a little unsure of how to do it, it teaches you and the student as well. So all of this is focusing you and your students on how to implement and how to best understand and engage within welding in your classroom. So with all this said, we have a few minutes for question and answer before our time is up. But with that being said, one of the things that we hope you get out of this today is how can you increase and engage and make the best learning environment possible for your students by getting their interest, by having them be part of the learning process, giving them competition, giving them different opportunities to explore and become confident with welding. And then finally, we have some tools that can help in that world as well. So hopefully you found this helpful today. And if you have questions, if there are things that you need, we are always here to be able to help talk with you, interact, to try to help you and your welding learning. With that, Emily, do we have any questions?
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, you can feel free to type those in the chat or the Q&A section located at the bottom. Just a reminder, following the webinar, within 24 hours, you will see an email from us with a link to the recording of Jamey's presentation, a link to his PowerPoint slides, as well as a link to the career exploration lesson plans that he went over. And then for those of you who attended live, you will receive a certificate of completion. Again, you will see that in your inbox within 24 hours after the presentation today. And Jamey, I'm not seeing any additional questions coming in at this time.
All right. Well, thank you, Emily. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time today to learn about what we can help to help your classroom. We hope that this has been helpful. If there are questions, you can always direct them, and it will be something that we can then work with you directly in that world. So with that said, thank you for your time, and feel free to reach out with any other questions.
Oh, Jamey, one question did come up.
Okay.
When my students hooked the program up to a laptop, it didn't line up. I think they're referring to our guideWELD VR.
Okay. Let's see here. So yeah, if it's the guideWELD VR, One of the things that we can work with that is we have a great product support system there. If it is guideWELD VR that was the problem with and it wasn't lining up, there are some quick fixes that we can walk you through it's kind of quote unquote calibrate the system to get it so it is pinpoint accurate. So we can definitely, if that was the problem and there was some issue there, one of the things that I will tell you is that if you have it on a metal table, metal interference is something that could be a problem with the VR unit. It needs to be on anything but metal, so wood, something of that nature, because of the sensing technology that is there. When that happens, then it will be something that we can, again, work with you to get honed in. That is sometimes, an issue, but for the most part, all of those types of issues quickly can be worked through with our great product support team on any of the variances of environmental issues that might happen in a school. We don't really have many problems with that once we work through the environmental issues there.
All right, and then another question that came in is, will we be at the Texas Ag Conference in late July?
Yes, we will. Yep, the VATTech conference in Corpus Christi. I will personally be there, but we will be there on site for that thing. And we will be having our products there too. So we always love any of the conferences we go to, because then you as the educator can look and touch and feel all of our products and really get any questions you have, how to implement kind of hammered out there. So hope that you will come and see us there.
Awesome. And I'm not seeing any other questions coming in at this time, Jamey.
Okay, well, thank you everyone very much for taking the time. Again, if you do have questions, reach out to us. We want you to be successful in the classroom, and we thank you for your time and being with us today.